This is Moving Forward with Dr. Diana Clark. Computer. Welcome back to my channel, Moving Forward Talk with Dr. Diana Clark. This is a space where we share stories of struggle, growth, and healing. The goal is to provide some hope to others who may be walking similar journey in life. This week, I have a very special guest with me, and I'm not going to do an introduction. I'm going to have her introduce herself. Miss Keaira Hawk, how are you?
Keaira Hilton, I'm good.
Who is Keaira Hilton Hawk?
So Keaira Hilton Hawk is an outgoing person who grew up in Sebring, Florida. I would say I grew up in the church, so I have a foundation in God. I wasn't raised in the typical two-parent household, and I feel like that foundation made me the person that I am today.
Awesome.
Yes,
Keaira, you grew up in a Christian environment.
yes.
The Lord care. What denomination were you in?
Church of God.
Church of God.
Yes.
Okay. And that really shaped.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I feel like that prepared me for life, for society, for the future,
Right.
and a lot of different things in life.
Yeah. So you mentioned you weren't raised in a typical two-parent home. Tell me more about that. Was it a single parent or with grandparents?
So I grew up in the household initially with my aunt. She raised me and one of my sisters. And then I was like back and forth between the house. So once I became a teenager, I moved in with my grandmother, my grandfather, and my great grandmother. But like my whole family, I would say, took care of me.
Oh, the entire village.
Yeah, and it's still the same, even as an adult.
What was that like?
I think for me, it provided me the village foundation. Like I never was alone. There's always like I know that my family loved me and cared for me, and I feel like that was used for me as a child during that time to not have to focus on my parents being absent.
And
Because
not
neither,
not focusing on your parent being absent.
right.
Were
So with
there,
my, sorry.
I was gonna say, were there moments though, you're not focusing on it, but were there moments when you question why your life looked different from other children?
Absolutely. I would say growing up in school, I was very educationally focused from, I could say from a little girl. I always was involved in something, competitive in sports. So as I was going through life, not seeing my mom and dad show up to parent teacher meetings and award ceremony because I was always that child that got the awards. And a lot of times, even with being raised by my grandparents, nobody was able to make it to those events. I would say when I was younger in life. So it did make me question like, why my parents saying here, I got straight A's and B's. You know, I made the honor roll. I had perfect attendance, but there was nobody there.
Those are some hard questions to ask.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as children, we often internalize those circumstances.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would say yes. I think that had a lot to do with, because I would say I grew up with some internalized abandonment issues.
Mm,
And so that, yeah, it did affect my life at that time.
yeah.
Yes.
Now, the abandonment issues affect your life, right?
Mhm.
Those questions, how did it affect your confidence or even your identity?
I would say I struggled initially with feeling unchosen.
Mm.
I can't say unloved, just I always felt like there was something missing, or those questions of what did I do that made things the way that they were. But as time progressed, I feel like that even shaped me in some of my choices of parenting and in my life, even right now.
How so?
How so?
Yeah.
So, as a mom, right now, I currently have three children, and I don't have the typical household because all of my kids have different parents, different
Mm-hmm.
fathers.
Yeah.
So, in that, in those situations, no matter the way that I felt about their fathers, I always chose to allow them to be present in my kids' life, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what our relationship was like. So I feel like with the relationship of my parents being absent, it influenced me to ensure that their fathers was present.
Right. And I'm so glad, right? That has to be appreciated even by your kids or even by anyone listening to this because majority of the times
Hmm.
we mirror what we see.
Right.
And if our parents weren't present, sometimes it's just viewed as okay, so it's customary. So
Hmm.
your dad doesn't have to come. I survived without my dad and being in my life. But you took a whole
Right.
different route.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even though my parents, I think with my parents not being present. So I want to give a little bit of the backstory about like my parents. So I always knew my mom was around. She had her own issues, which were mental and health related issues.
Mm-hmm.
So with those situations, she wasn't present all the time. Or, growing up when your parents aren't present, you tend to hear stories about them. And I chose not to internalize that. And then with my father, I always heard about who my father was, but I didn't meet my father until I was 17 years old. And the way that situation came about was I was playing basketball at Seaburn High School with a girl. And I had remembered like who my grandmother had told me who my father was, but never like had a interaction with him.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. I'm at a basketball game, and I know this man's face, and it was like me and the girl, we were on the same team, and then I asked her who the man was, and she told me what his name was,
Yeah.
and then that's how I found out like what my dad actually looked like and stuff like that.
Did you approach him at that time?
No, I didn't approach him at that time. I went home and I told my grandmother that my dad had came to my basketball game, but he wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
So that initiated some other things, which were um, also I had a childhood friend. We were really, really close. Like we were just friends, and he
Mm-hmm.
would call the house. We would exchange. We had exchanged phone numbers, and his name was James Hawk. And so James, like, we was cool. We had like this circle of friends. And so when James started calling the house more, my grandma was like, "That's your cousin." I'm like, "That's just my friend. You know how you just have friends."
Yeah.
And so my grandma said, "I don't want it to be a situation where where you're dating one of your cousins or something like that is going on." So that initiated a blood test.
Okay.
So, yes.
Let's go back to the game. You're at the game, and for the
Uh
first
huh.
time, you realize that's your dad. He's at the game, but not
Mhm.
not for you, for someone else. What emotion came up that time?
Right.
What emotion actually came up?
I think I was more like shocked
Mm-hmm.
and stunned and like I was a big crybaby growing up, so I would imagine like if I think back, like I think I cried
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, but not during that time. But just trying to hold back the emotions because I'm wondering like this man ain't never showed up to my basketball game, but he here for this girl that I play basketball with. So it
So
just felt
did that girl turn out to be like a sister of yours or
no, 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 because she wasn't my sister. She wasn't my sister. We weren't related at all. We just played
Okay.
basketball together,
I was just
and her mom
wondering.
was somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I was
no.
just wondering, he's at the basketball game for somebody else. So I was just
Mhm.
wondering
No,
if
it
it
wasn't
turned
a
out.
sibling.
Okay.
No, it wasn't a sibling. Not in that case. Not in that
Wow.
case.
Wow.
So as time progressed, like my grandma had initiated a blood test, and
Hmm.
so I remember being like I told you, like 17. So after he got the paperwork, he had came to my grandparents' house and like asked my grandma what was she doing, like why would you want to do this. So it was a situation where he had tried to offer my grandma a briefcase of money because my father was very prominent in the agriculture field just as
Hmm.
well as my grandparents were. And so I remember the conversation because I'm standing on the side of the wall. Our living room had like these, it's still like that. It had these, like, you remember how back in the days the hallway separated from the
Yeah.
living room?
Hmm.
So I'm standing on the other side of the wall, and I remember my grandma telling him, I'm not doing this for no money. I got just as much money as you. I'm doing this because I want my granddaughter to know who her family is.
Hmm.
So we end up having the blood test. And me, my dad, and my aunt, we were at the child support office in Sebring because that's where they used to do tests back in the days. And so we get on the elevator. My dad's on the elevator with her, and my dad's on the elevator with us.
Hmm.
And I never forget, I remember him looking me in my face and he said, "You ain't none of my child," as we're on the elevator getting ready to go take the blood test. So we go take the blood test. I'm anticipating the blood test, so I'm steady checking the mailbox. So the blood test came back, and I still have a record of this. And it came back that I was 99.9% his.
Hmm.
So after the test came back, I graduated high school. I was getting ready to graduate high school. I invited him to my high school graduation. He did come. After it came back that I was his child, he was more active and involved. Like I would say when I went to college, he came over to where I was staying. He financially helped out, and he also helped me with getting a car. So we had a conversation. He told me his side of the story. It wasn't a one-sided situation,
Right.
and I forgave him. Like I feel like I was a child that was put in a situation, but it was two sides to the story. So I couldn't make up for those 17 years, but
Hmm.
God did give me those an additional 17 years with my father before he passed away.
And such a wonderful story. I have to say that,
Yes.
but I could only imagine what you must have felt when he looked in your eyes to say, "You
That
ain't
one,
none of
his
my
child, yeah, I
child."
was hurt. Mhm.
Yeah. And so
I was.
it took courage. It really took courage, I do believe, to establish that relationship.
Mhm. But I felt like, even though I was a child,
Uh-huh.
with the way that I was raised, being raised around older people, and just through experiences in life, I feel like I always live with the saying, it's two sides to every story. And if you
Hmm.
only hear one and you don't really know the other person's side, then you'll never get closure. So I'm big, even since I was young, I would say, when you're a child and you like, I don't want to be your friend no more. Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I don't want to be your friend no more. And then we just be
Yeah.
done at that.
You love closure. So
Yes.
on the topic of forgiveness,
Hmm.
was it a decision right then and there, or was it a process?
With my dad,
Yeah.
no. So what really, so my mom was also a factor in the situation. So as time progressed, like my mom passed away when I was 20 years old. But prior to my mom
Hmm.
passing, um, I had went to my mom while she was on her deathbed, and
Mm.
she had asked me to forgive her. She said, "I love you. Forgive me for not being present as a mom." And she said, "The only thing that I wanted you to do is just finish school, get your education, and she had told me that she had loved me. And so I feel like with me getting closure from my mom and her asking me to forgive her, that also inspired me with forgiving my dad, because I had already lost one parent, and I didn't really get to experience a life with my mom. So the
Right.
only parent that I had left was my dad. And I wanted my daddy. From a little girl, I could say I always, like, even though my grandparents and my family tried to fill that void, I
Mhm.
feel with every child, no matter what they done been through, they still want their mom and daddy.
Every child still crave. You're absolutely correct.
Hmm.
Their mom and dad.
Hmm.
Yeah. And even if you don't realize it as a child, as you grow older
Hmm.
and starting to feel and able to identify and name your emotions, you
Hmm.
realize, okay, this is why I had felt like this. This is why I was grieving. Because sometimes we grieve the folks and they're right there standing in front of
Hmm.
us
That's the truth.
because we're not getting from them what we actually need in that moment.
Right.
So you're standing there talking to your mom, and she's at her last moments, hours. They had to be traumatic.
Because my mama died 3 days after my 20th birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Being 20, I was in college. And my mom didn't live in Sebring at the time. She lived in St. Petersburg. So so I went to school in Tampa so that I could be closer to my mom at that time. So it just happened to work out like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's going through your mind at the moment?
Right
It's
now,
yeah.
just really, remembering
Mm-hmm.
my feelings and my emotions at that time, and just not like, my mom was only 46, 47 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm 40, about to be 44, and just thinking about how young of a person she was and how she had not lived her whole life.
And it still hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you cope when those thoughts come up for you? What is
Um,
your grounding?
just music, like what keeps me going,
Mm-hmm.
music. I have like certain songs
Mm-hmm.
that I like to listen to when I'm going through challenging times. And then prayer, because I do pray a lot. Like, even as a mom, just like, Lord, let me make the right decisions for me and my kids. Let them know that I do everything in remembrance and desire to be better than what the parents that I had. Because I wouldn't say that they was bad parents.
Mm-hmm.
They were just going through their own situations.
Yeah.
So
Is there anything you learn about grief during that time that you didn't understand?
I think grieving my parents helped me
Mm-hmm.
cope with the loss of my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that time, I was young, not even fully have lived life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like grieving at that age helped me. It helped me be reliant, like the type of person that other people my age could rely on, but
Mm-hmm.
because most people don't go through stuff like that at a
Right.
young age.
And when we go through stuff like that, sometimes it either harden
Make you a break.
us or transform us, make you
Right.
or break you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it made me hard. It didn't make me cold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it helped me to see that here today could be gone tomorrow. To
Yeah.
enjoy life now, like, just live your life, and also keep in mind that your actions have a reflection on others as well. So,
Most definitely, especially our children,
mhm,
they mirror.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you survive those lost, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then somewhere there, you experience domestic abuse.
Mhm. So in that situation, I waited. I had been in a long-term relationship. I had my first daughter. I didn't get married, but I got engaged in that relationship. In that first relationship, I feel like that person and myself, we had a lot in common. We grew up in the church. We had just the same upbringing, but I strayed away from that. So I had my first child when I was 28. Then I got into another situation. That's when I had met you. We were working together at DJJ.
Yeah.
And in that situation, I had a child with someone else, but we like went our separate ways instantly. And then my third serious like relationship that resulted in a child, me and this person we met, things moved fast, and I had introduced him to my grandmother. So when I had introduced him to my grandmother had said, "Don't." She said, "Keaira, don't marry that man. I seen something in his eyes."
Mm-hmm.
So you know how you growing up, and I'm like, "Oh, grandma, why you just can't be happy for me? Like I love him. That's who I want to be with." So we ended up getting married. So the abuse started prior to us getting married, but the initial situation, I thought it was an isolated event. Like I had done took domestic violence classes in school, had a college certificate in victim advocacy. You know, I had seen it, seen all the signs, but I say I turned a blind eye. Like I
Mm-hmm.
thought the first time it was apology, it'll never happen again. Then it went to blaming, you made me do it. And I'm married. I'm married. I got two kids. And then after I got pregnant, I felt like the abuse had got worse. Like I've heard of situations like where people would hit you below the neck, but he would like punch me in my mouth, punch me in my
Mm-hmm.
face. And it was one of those things where I thought that it couldn't happen to me,
Mm-hmm.
but it did. And at first, I didn't know how to get out. But what helped me to get out was one of my siblings. My sister had passed away at the time. My sister Leslie Hawk,
Mm-hmm.
and I had went to her funeral, and my dad was there, and my husband had went with me at the time. So we at the funeral, and then the family's going to repast, but it was like he was rushing me to hurry up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And just with his erratic behavior at that time, I just came back and I was like, I don't want to do this no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. And then like him meeting my father, like I felt embarrassed because they didn't really know what was going. Nobody really knew what was going on in a
Right.
sense. So it was something that I had slipped into, and I didn't at first know how to get out.
It's never easy to get out.
Mm-mm.
Give yourself some grace, a lot of grace. It's never easy to get out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the phrase, it's easier to get in than to get out, is so
Mm-hmm.
true in so many aspects of life.
Right.
Yeah. Because I believe sometimes during a domestic violent relationship, we have to strategize,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But in my case, so how I ended up getting out
Yeah.
was not your typical situation. So there was an incident where we were going through, we had an argument, but there was, in this argument, there was no
Mm-hmm.
physical abuse. We just got into a verbal argument. But so I had sent him a text message a particular day, and I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to be with
Mm-hmm.
you. And then he had got into a car
Mm-hmm.
accident the same day. So a few days later after the accident, he had we had went to get the stuff out of the car, and we were across the street arguing. He had threw a water bottle at me. Well, I'm 9 months pregnant, and the people across the street where we went to get the stuff from, they called the police. The police had came. And so we're there, and I'm like trying to save him from going to jail. The police is like, "Did he hit you?" But he hadn't hit me.
Yeah.
But they took him in for aggravated battery on a pregnant person.
Yeah.
And in that situation, it was like, what? Like, he didn't hit me, but God didn't send somebody to save me. So that's the way that I eventually had seen it. So um, he went to jail. They didn't give him a bond. And he ended up being charged with aggravated battery on a pregnant person. And he did 4 years in prison. But during the time while he was locked up initially, they had never let him out. So I took that time, I filed for divorce, and I have not been with him intimately in no type of way since 2017. So it was like, how most people would fall back into a
Yeah.
situation. Oh, he loved me. It was just it was like I stood on the principle of I was done.
That was your escape.
Hmm.
And
And
when you're done, you're done.
yes.
And I do have to ask, because sometimes we don't know, right?
Hmm.
Individuals don't know why they stay. It's for a lot of reasons. Did fear convince you to stay?
No, it wasn't even the fear. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, it was probably a little bit of fear, but
Mm-hmm.
in that situation, it was like, I was married. I had a baby, and then it was like, that's my husband. You know how when you raised in the church, you believe. So this was the thing. I had believed that, once you marry, you're supposed to be with your husband. So one day I had prayed to God. I never forget. And I was like, Lord, if it's meant for me to get a divorce, send like I'm just one of those people, like, show me a sign. Like, Lord, what do you want me to do? So when I was reading the Bible, I had found a scripture about the divorce decree, and I don't remember the exact scripture, but it
Yeah.
was like, okay, that was my notion. Like, I had went to visit him while he was locked up. The baby was 6 weeks old. Not even 6 weeks. My baby was like a couple of weeks old. And he just portrayed this anger and at me. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to do this no more. So
Yeah.
I had 3 kids. And I went um to the courthouse. And I went and got a divorce packet. That's why I say to people, if you want to be out of something, you'll get out of it. And I sat there with 3 little kids under 6 years old
Mhm.
and a newborn baby and filled out that entire divorce packet with children. And it's like this thick by myself.
It's a hundred
And
and something pages.
I got every page signed, notarized, walked across the street to the sheriff's office for them to serve him in jail. And when I went to court that day for a divorce, he did not show up. And the judge asked me what was my reasons. I told him every single reason.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that was there with me at that time. We're not friends anymore at this time, but
Mhm.
she was there the day of my divorce, and it was just like it was an experience of if you want to get out of something, you will.
Yeah.
I believe that.
And it's not just simply walking away.
Mm-mm.
It's not.
No.
It's usually often one of the bravest decision, and that has to be a totally shift of mindset.
Something my grandmother said to me, she
Mhm.
said, baby, only you know when you tired. And that's something, like, I've had friends that went through things and different things like that. And I always believe that I never hold other people, I never like feel no way towards them when they're going
Mhm.
through stuff. But I always say, just try to get out before it's too late or before an unlucky lick or,
Yeah.
something like that. And
When
yeah.
the older folks always have the best suggestions, right?
Mhm.
I
Yes.
was looking for another word.
They always had the best analogies and sayings
Yes.
for everything because they've been there, done that.
Because my grandmother would always say, everybody knows when their cup full. If
Hmm.
that cup
Only you
isn't,
know when you're tired.
and if you're not tired, it doesn't matter what anyone else say or do. It's not going
Hmm.
to work.
And even through that situation, like my family was supportive. I
Mm-hmm.
have a brother that's in Tennessee. We got the same daddy. And yeah, we got the same dad. I
Yeah.
love my brother to death. And my brother was like, me and the kids had fled there like twice, and
Yeah.
he never held it against me. Anytime I needed help or anything, he always
Mm-hmm.
was there. And yeah, my big brother,
Yeah.
I had to keep him off of him. But,
I can only imagine that. Now, from that domestic violence, right?
Mhm.
What is one thing that any regrets? Maybe your children seeing that. Did your children ever see it?
I can't say. Yeah, I would say they did see certain things or see
Mm-hmm.
me with the after effects. And my daughter was like 5 years old at the time. And another thing that made me make up my mind was when my daughter told me, she said, "Mommy," and I don't want to say his name, but she was like, "He don't love you because if he love you, he'll treat you like a princess." And you know
Mm,
how most parents will tell a kid, like, "Shut up, get out of my business." Like, I wasn't like that. And I was just like, dang, like my 5-year-old just told me that this man don't love me. And that was one of my deciding factors of getting out. It was like, your
mm-hmm.
kids are seeing this person treat you this way.
Yeah.
And what type of example am I
Yeah.
setting? So the regret was not listening to my grandma when she told me not to marry that man.
Mm-hmm.
And the regret of my kids having to be in the household, seeing how I was treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And out of the mouth of babes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That had to be heavy to carry. That had
Yeah,
to
it
be so
was.
heavy to listen to.
Mm-hmm. And it's like now that the kids are older, like my son has a relationship with his father. And
Mm-hmm.
as I had spoke previously, even though I went through what I went through with him, I forgave him. I
Mm-hmm.
always tell him he's a better parent than he is being in a relationship.
Yeah.
Um, I think that what he went through, going to prison and those different things, protected him in terms of he was just so hot headed. It protected
Mm-hmm.
him in other ways. But
Yeah.
I think that it also made him realize how him going to prison affected his relationship with not just my kid, but the other kids that he has.
Yeah. And so now you're divorced.
Mhm.
What did rebuilding your life actually look like?
So rebuilding for me, I feel like being at what I've been through, it has made it harder for me to date.
Yeah.
When I say harder for me to date, I'm not quick to jump into a relationship. I moving a man in and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so rebuilding for me, I went through the struggle of staying with my sister for a little while
Mm-hmm.
while after the divorce, and having to present a divorce decree when you're moving to certain apartment complex to prove that you're not married
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And just later in life, now that I'm 44, almost 44, I say that just my mentality is love seems more difficult, and you never know what you're getting into with people.
Yeah.
So
You
my
know, and
rebuilding is
yeah,
slow, I would say.
slow. It is true. I can agree with that. And, you know, we're having a conversation, and it's not about me. I'm gonna say, like my daughter would always say, remember, the conversation are not about you. It's about the other person. But I've had some
Yes.
experience, right? I have had experience in some of these
My
areas.
Do you feel like your trust, like for me, my trust is I'm not quick to trust men or just
Hmm.
people in general. Like I'm almost like, what's the motive? Like, why you want to be my friend? Why you want to
Well,
get
yeah, I don't think I even allow myself at this point to even waive trust or anything.
And how long have you been divorced, if I may ask?
I've been divorced 2010 was when I
Okay, so
was when
I've
I
been since 2017.
I'm not done yet. 2010 when I got divorced from my first husband.
Okay.
Then I had got married again
How soon?
in 2011.
Okay, so you jump right back in.
No, I'm not gonna say I jumped back in because my previous, when I divorced in 2010, we had already we were already separated, living our own separate
Oh,
lives for since about 2007 or close to
okay,
2008.
so a few years.
Right, so a few years, but no one wanted to file for a divorce. No one had the money, let's say it like that, right? Nobody wanted to invest the money in a divorce. And I remember vividly, he came to me one day and he was like, hey, I'm moving on. He had met someone, like I said, we're living our lives. I'm there and just taking care of my kids. He came, he said, hey,
Hmm.
he came and been on, he said, I met someone and I want to do it
Hmm.
and I'm ready
The
to
right
move,
way.
right? Can you file
Uh,
for, he said, can you file for the divorce? And I said, okay, no problem, you got it. Just like that. And so when I got married again, I always say the second marriage didn't last but 24 hours. In my mind, I
Really?
said that. But when I got married again, it didn't
Uh-huh.
last. Being married, what a marriage looked like didn't last, right? For less than a year. We
Hmm.
still cohabitated, right? But
Right.
you over here and I'm over there.
Right.
Right. And so,
Hmm.
but we stayed married on paper for a very long time. I didn't do a divorce until 2016.
Okay. So,
But
2011, 2010, when did you get married?
2011,
2011 to
yeah,
2016. So you stayed married on paper, but functionality and household wise, y'all been over.
yeah,
Okay.
within the same year of being married.
And see, for me, I've been reluctant to just, I don't know, like I've never, after I got a divorce, it's like I would say I haven't taken anyone serious
Mhm.
enough to say, okay, I can see myself marrying. I'd be like picking apart a person.
Yeah. So when I ask you about rebuilding, and when you ask me about trust, right?
Hmm.
I haven't dated since my second husband.
Okay.
I'm
See,
just
I
going.
date, Sonny.
I'm
I date.
I'm just going.
Okay.
No, I met someone once and I realized we'll talk, we'll visit, but that's it.
Oh, see, I date.
No.
I didn't start dating probably until I divorced 2017. I probably didn't start dating for like 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
after.
Hmm.
Dating just to me just going out, hanging out, and then I go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I no. And now it's like book is gone. And now it's like being by myself doing life. I don't know. I
I,
trust
I
folks.
I think marriage, like to me, marriage is like giving up your identity.
Yeah.
And at this far in the game,
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be easy for me to do anymore. Like I want to get married again. I want to settle down, but it would have to be like I think I'm more realistic about a person now.
I think I set this value for myself, which probably I should have done in early life, right?
Hmm.
But I told myself until I meet someone who's going to care for and love my mind, body, and soul, the way that I do, we can text.
I get you. You said we can text.
We
Y'all
can
can text.
we can text. We can text.
Okay, I got you.
That's it. How you doing? I'm fine. How you doing? I'm fine. Good morning. Good morning. We can text. We can even stay on the phone and laugh.
I get you. But that's about far as it's going.
That's as far as it's gonna go.
So could you see yourself married for a third time, or do you think two is
So I am 50 years old. Did I say it out loud? Yes. I am 50, right?
uh-huh.
And if I answer that question right off the back, I would say maybe if I meet someone who's going to care for my mind, body, and soul as I do, probably.
Yes.
On the other hand, am I healed from all the past relationships? 100%, right?
You are?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I think it was okay for me, not okay, but I think I was healed a little bit easier, like I said, because before the actual divorce, I was already rebuilding. I was already in my space of healing, and to the point when I signed those divorce papers, it was like signing my name on another piece of court paper, honestly.
Right.
Nothing about it, just sign my name on another piece of court paper in juvenile court, you know.
Mm.
Right.
Yes.
So, but
Right.
I don't know that I would do that.
Right.
At this point, I can't say yes, and I cannot say a no.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, I want to be married again.
You're young.
I'm 40. I'm about to be 44. That ain't young.
Yeah. And then you've only experienced it, once.
For marriage, but
Marriage, yeah.
a long-term relationship, yeah, I have been with somebody who nobody couldn't have told me that's not who I wasn't gonna marry. But it was like that was like a 10 plus year relationship off and on. And then once it got ready to get married, I was just like, no,
And
this ain't it. It was like in that situation,
yeah,
to be honest, I could see the end because of what I went through with that person before I said I do.
yeah.
And here we are. Our daughter is 15. 20 plus years later, I'm grateful that I did not marry that person. Even though I went through what I did with the other person,
Yeah.
I am 100% like, if I say, okay, God, I stamp that, I'm happy that I made the decision to not marry that person. Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
And I was just about to ask, could it be, you spoke about abandonment issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when it looks real and feels real, we don't know how to accept it.
Right.
Because in our mind, oh, you are going to leave too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to ask you, after 10 years, if that's what it was, why you end up leaving.
So with that person, I felt like if I would have married that person, I would have been marrying them for what everybody else wanted me to marry. Like my grandparents, my grandma wanted me to marry that person. Everybody, I even still hear people say, "Oh, that person would have been a good person for you." But with that person, I did not feel whole.
Yeah.
I felt like because we grew up with some of the same dynamics as far as in the church, he grew up in a two-parent household, but I felt like now that both of our parents are deceased, would he be able to be the man that I needed him to be as a husband? And I didn't feel like he portrayed that to me.
Yeah.
And I say that because when a person, I think it's different when you're spoon fed all your life compared to when you really have the hustle and the ambition to go out there and really like take care of life yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That is Keaira's truth, and I'm glad you're able to identify your truth.
Yeah. So, but with
Yeah,
my kids' dads now, even though I have three kids, they all have different fathers. I would say individually, each one of them are good fathers in their own way.
right. Yeah. You definitely have to give them the credit where credit is due.
Yes.
Yes. So
And I
now you,
think some
uh-huh.
some turned out to be better fathers than I thought that they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say that.
Sometimes we're a better parent than a better spouse, right? Sometimes it's just hard to balance.
Hmm.
Gosh, I just heard myself say that, and with transparency, I believe I was a better parent to my kids than I was a spouse.
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
I'm one of the person who really struggled with that balance. My children, what we learn.
Yeah, I think now, even now, the level of life that I'm on, my daughter's 15, my
Mhm.
son's 12, and the other one is 9. Like, my focus is always on my kids.
Yeah.
So, as somebody who has been married, but it's just been me and my kids since 2017, I think that, like, I would have to learn to balance
Yeah.
the both. And then for me, it would just seem weird somebody coming into our space this late. Like,
Some, yep. Somebody coming to sit on your couch.
yeah, like he here forever. Like I want to be married again, but I think that it would once the kids get a little bit older.
Right.
Like even though they're older now, but like
Yeah. You know, I
definitely.
I have a friend who always asks, "When are you gonna date?" And I put a timeline on. So I'm gonna date when my youngest is 16. I'm gonna start dating to see if I really want to get into a relationship.
He grown now.
Yeah, when he was 16, I was reminded that's what I said. It was like, oh, I'm gonna wait until he's 18.
Mhm.
So he's 18 now, and the person reminded me again, Shamaya, Diana, your son is 18. We have been waiting. And I was like, I am so in love right now. Last time we spoke about it, I said, I am so in love right now. And I saw the expression in his face. I said, yeah, I am so in love with me right now. I don't know if I want to interrupt it.
And that's the hard part. And I can
Yeah.
say that when you used to coming and going as you please, you used to your own financial situation, you used to the relationship, even though your kids are older, the relationship that you have with your
Yeah.
kids just impeding somebody into the path that you're living in life.
Mhm.
It's like now you got to put somebody else on your journey and think about them 24/7 as well, on top of what you already have going on.
Yeah. So no, I say I'll wait until he finished college.
Third,
He's no, until he finished college. We'll see what happened once he finished college.
right.
But yeah, I'm in love with myself right now.
I can understand
Yeah. Despite everything you've experienced,
that. Hmm.
you've continued your education. You spoke about being academically focused, right? What
Hmm.
kept you believing your future could be different from your past?
So, believe it or not, I had a degree in all of that before I ever even had the kids. So,
Mhm.
unlike the flip side, where a lot of people don't have an education,
Yeah.
they, then have a family and have kids. And then it's like I had all of that since before I had kids.
Mhm.
So, but I have found myself that I believe that you never know enough. So
Right.
my family they always make this joke. They say you got more degrees than a thermometer, but it's like I just like continue to focus
Yeah.
and try to stay up to date with my education. So I feel like with the kids and with the family and with the divorce, like I still try to stay educationally inclined and like I have my insurance license that
Mhm.
I gotta renew and plus base, get ready for school to start back and
Mhm.
so I'm always learning, I would say.
And it's true. Life is about learning. I was once told that the minute you stop learning, you stop living, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Because education isn't just about earning that degree. It can also be reclaiming different possibilities.
Right.
Yeah.
What I have found as like how we live in Sebring, I feel like living in a small town
Hmm.
and being educated, it's hard because
Yeah.
I feel like we don't get the same level of income and pay
Hmm.
and respect as our counterparts, Caucasians and other races in
That's
places
true.
like Sebring, Florida.
It's true.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if it's only Sebring, Florida. I think it's sometimes universal.
Okay.
Yeah. I have had that experience.
Yes, because when we work together and even after, you're highly educated. You have your doctorate degree, correct?
Yeah.
Do you do you feel like you had to leave your comfort zone in order to attain a better life for you and your kids?
I had to. I had to leave the comfort zone. I had to stop limiting myself and just step away from everything I knew, right?
Hmm.
So that I could advance myself. And I
Right.
highly believe, I love Sebring. I love everything about Florida.
Hmm.
But I highly believe if I stayed, I would not have been able to advance myself to the point where I am now.
Right.
Yeah.
And you had how many years in your field? Because you had been there a long time before we crossed
I
that.
worked at DJJ for 16 years.
Oh,
I
wow.
left, worked there for 16 years, but there were no progression. I stayed in the same position for 16 years. And I tried, but it was just, nope.
And see, while we having that conversation, so I had a recent situation where I was working for one of the largest employers in Highlands County, which was
Hmm.
Advent Health. And I returned back to the job because it used to be Florida Hospital,
Hmm.
thinking, had I missed something, just like with relationships, did I miss something? Did I miss
Yeah.
an opportunity? So I went back, came in a lower level position with hopes of progressing,
Hmm.
applying, and I found that I was met with roadblocks, even though my credentials, like a
Yeah.
degree, experience. And so just recently I have a friend when I just stopped working there like 2 weeks ago. And my friend asked me, she said, how do you feel about leaving? Like what did you experience? And I said, believe it or not, the situation is just like relationships. I learned do not go back. Like
Yeah.
once something has taken its course, once you went through the experience, don't go back because it could be worse than what your initial experience was.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And I never go back. It's always about keep moving forward, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. Um, in everything care that happened, I'm going to use the word again, trauma, right?
Mhm.
Did those experience try to convince you about who you were, but that's not who you were? Did they try to convince you about yourself?
Yes, like I would
Yeah.
say one of the things that I have firmly stood on,
Mm-hmm.
like growing up or going through different situations or just being around people who come from Sebring or just
Mm-hmm.
just in general, like people have made comments like, "Oh, she crazy," or like, and it's like I'm not. I'm one of those people that firmly believe in myself. Like I believe that anything I put my mind to, I
Mm-hmm.
can make it happen. Or like that the trauma of my mom going through mental and
Mm-hmm.
emotional and health problems, like I've had to show that, hey, sometimes you have a person in their lineage and their
Mm-hmm.
heritage all
Yeah.
wrong. Like, I have a degree.
Mm-hmm.
My niece just graduated from Spelman, my sister's daughter, which is one of the
Oh.
most prestigious schools in the
Mm-hmm.
US for African Americans. Like, I think sometimes people have things that people have went through and what the outcome of them. Sometimes it can also follow their kids, but it doesn't mean that they're who their parents are. So
Right.
that was a trauma situation, like the trauma of my parents' life and their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think people tried to impose that on me as a person.
Yeah. But when trauma speaks those lies, right? Guess what? Healing help us recover the truth
Yep.
about who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's not
Yep.
even about becoming new. It was who we were under the covering,
Right.
right? Who we were before we got wrapped up and covered in our traumatic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now we have to do, I was doing a video the other day because I was peeling my orange and it came to my mind and do some little videos here and there. And it's like just peeling the orange, right? Peeling away
Mm-hmm.
those negative experience, peel by peel by peel. Yeah.
So something that I had did prior to you reaching out to me. So you reached out to me earlier this week, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So me and the kids had went on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
And on the trip, on the way back, I stopped in Chattahoochee, Florida, just out of the blue. And in Chattahoochee, Florida, that's where the Florida Mental Health Hospital is.
Yeah.
And that's where my mom had went.
Mm-hmm.
And after I left there, I went back there because I wanted to see what I went there because I wanted to see what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But to also, it was like breaking of a generational curse to me. Like I wanted to go, like, and I took my kids with me. They didn't know where we was, but I had explained to them.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, that's when you had reached out to me. So
Wow.
I'm a firm believer, like, we all have the choice to build a life legacy and
Mm-hmm.
future that we want. We know that even in today's society, people go back, they read the history, they
Yeah.
read the history books,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that's what tomorrow is going to be. History only repeats itself
Yeah.
when we choose to allow it to do so.
When we give it that power to do so.
Mhm.
So true, our start is never, it doesn't have to be where we finish,
Right.
right? If we finish at the point where we started, that means there's no progression or we keep going back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Look,
for me, so I've been back in Sebring since 2020.
yeah.
And at first I looked at it, I was angry. When I came back, I was mad, I was stressed out.
Mm,
And now that I'm 7 years in, I say that this is completion because after this time, I'm leaving because I want better for me.
yeah.
I want my kids to experience better. But I had to come back, and in the time that I've been back, like my grandmother passed away, and I
Mm-hmm.
just said to myself, like, imagine if I would have been away and didn't get to enjoy the last couple of months that I did
Right.
by me being back. Like I was angry at God. Like you could
Mm-hmm.
have everything that I done accomplished, and I'm back in Sebring. But being back now is like a foundation of closure for
Yeah.
me as a person.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
so when I mentioned going back, not physically, right?
Yeah.
It's the mindset of it because you're
But
back in
I had to physically go
go
back.
back. But the mindset changed though. You
Mm-hmm.
went back with a different,
Yep.
more wisdom. Yeah, totally different mindset.
Right.
Looking back over life, Keaira, is there any version of yourself that you are most proud of? And I shouldn't say is there. Let me ask the question differently. What version of yourself are you most proud of?
Now,
Yeah.
I'm most proud of me now because I honestly, like, I can look back at who I was. I
Uh-huh.
can look back at the things that I've experienced. And who I am now is like back then I was a little girl. It's like a flower. You start as a seed and then
Mm-hmm.
you grow, or like a tree. And even if the leaves fall off, even though you might bend,
Mm-hmm.
though a branch might fall off, even though a storm may come. The me now, like I'm proud of who I am now because I'm experienced, I'm seasoned, my discernment is on
Mm-hmm.
point. I know that I had to forgive myself and forgive others
Mm-hmm.
in order to keep moving forward. So, yeah.
And now we're looking at the palm tree.
Hmm.
I said the palm tree because I use that analogy all the time.
Really?
You said it just right. Because with the palm tree, right, it withstands even when during the storm, doesn't matter how rough that storm is, it bends.
And I didn't
Sometimes,
know this, did
yeah,
I?
sometimes it bends to the point where leaves may touch the ground. But when you notice after the storm, the palm tree is back standing.
Yeah.
It is back standing. So I always use the palm tree analogy.
And
I
I didn't
love it.
even know that.
Yeah, didn't even know that. And when you
No.
said it, I'm like, man, this is aligning. This is
Yeah.
aligning. Yeah. So what would your younger, the little girl Keaira that you talked about earlier,
Hmm.
what would she think if she met this palm tree today?
She would say, now all them tears didn't do nothing but build you up.
Yeah,
Yep.
did nothing but
That's,
good love. Mhm.
yep.
I don't know if I don't know why I'm getting teary eyed. I was hoping I did, but it's okay. I don't know if you follow me in social media, but you said that, and what came to my mind, I just did a video again, short 2 minutes, maybe 2 seconds. I don't even know how long, second and a half, minute and a half. And it says that the hard truth about trauma, right? Sometimes the strongest version of us, of ourselves, are born in the seasons we never wanted to experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's exactly what when you say that, that's what came back to mind.
Yep.
Yeah. And I wonder, and I know this question, my perception of healing, right?
Hmm.
But as you go through your healing journey, is that healing journey forever, or at some point do you think I've healed so I can stop doing the work?
I don't think you ever stop healing
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
think of even like the body.
Mm-hmm.
As a little kid, you rode a bicycle, you might scratch your knee. So that
Yeah.
has to heal.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, you might bump your toe and that might have to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You might get a little older and have to get a surgery, but that has to
Has to.
heal.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the only time that you stop healing and stop doing the work is when the casket closes.
When the casket closes. Healing is not a destination.
Mm-mm.
No, it cannot be. And the reason why I said that too, because even my own self, sometimes some of the things that we are healed from, want to know, care that sometimes it will creep up on you.
It's the truth.
Once you know that they will creep up when you least expected it. Once you know that you remember this, you remember that.
Or they like how they say, if you ever want to make God laugh, tell him what your plan is. You think you healed, tell God I'm healed. He gonna give you a new test. And you only living if you are going forward
Yeah.
to pass the test.
Mhm.
Everything is a test.
Everything is a test.
We see people who get stuck in a cycle
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they ain't trying to pass the test or they get stuck on what has happened
Yeah.
and don't move forward to, hey, you know what? I went through that. I experienced that. You don't have a testimony if you don't have a test.
Yeah. Oh no.
So,
No testimony. You went back in the church. No
mhm.
testimony. No testimony without that test. Not
Right.
at all. No testimony without that test. Just like Joseph. You should never touch on the Bible, Keaira, because I'm likely to get carried away in the Bible.
Yes, but it's everyday life though.
Yeah, it's just like Joseph though. Without that, without the prison he was in, he would never been able to fulfill his purpose. I don't
Right.
think. No.
And something that your show says is create your own path, right?
Yeah.
I see it there. Create your own path.
Yeah.
If we remember the story of Jesus, Jesus was on a journey, right? And on the journey, he
Mm-hmm.
encountered different people, places, and things.
Right.
And each one of those people, places, and things, all the way to the end, when
Mm-hmm.
he was hung on the cross,
Yeah.
it was a test.
It was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And even though they say those are parables, like I grew up in the church, but I also in school, I remember we used to have Aesop's fables.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was, say for instance, the grasshopper
Yeah.
in the end. And even everybody was encountering each other in order to, you know, finish out the fable and what was gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Yeah.
And it's just like with everyday life, like
Yeah.
you gotta keep moving forward. You gotta
Yeah.
keep healing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep standing on your principles and what you do and don't know on along the path.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. What would you want your children to learn from this interview?
That life is not easy. And my only goal has to be the best version of a mother that I can be,
Mm-hmm.
that I can be. I can't fulfill the role of a father, but I
Mm-hmm.
hope that my decisions and choices made them know that it's okay to love both of us,
Mm-hmm.
whether we were right or wrong, and don't let our decisions and choices influence them being on the being the best version of them in life.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Keaira, if someone, because we have so many more questions, but we are running out of time, we will need a part two.
Yeah.
But if someone watching this video and going through some of the similar situation that you have walked through, what would you say to them?
Storms are only temporary and the sun eventually shines again. Don't get stuck in the temporary storm without knowing, hey, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep trusting God or whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
Forgive others, and it's not the end.
Yeah. And I always want to add on this, if since you didn't say forgive yourself, I
Yeah.
think one of the most important thing is forgiving ourselves first. And
Yes.
individual like to ask, what am I forgiving myself for? We'll know what you need to forgive yourself for.
You have to forgive yourself like that. That's
Yeah,
really important.
you have to forgive yourself. Go. We
And
allow.
forgive those who have wronged you because
Yeah,
the power that other people have is only when you don't forgive them.
yeah. I was gonna say, when we have to forgive ourselves for allowing them to have that much power over us for that long period of time as we allow them to.
Yep.
What does moving forward look like for you now?
Moving on,
Like the Jeffersons? No, you're moving on
moving,
up like the Jeffersons.
moving on, moving out of. I feel like the only way that I'm going to be able to be the best version of me. Home is where the heart is, but the highway is where I reside. And I just want to give my kids the
Oh.
opportunity to know that life is bigger than where we're from.
Hmm. Hmm.
And moving forward means to me, like, just growing every day as a mother,
Mm-hmm.
a friend, a person in this world, and just I don't want to ever lose my smile or my youthfulness, and keeping God first, and knowing that every I may encounter people, and you never know. Just like with us, I never would have thought we would be here today, but I appreciate you for choosing me because I
You're
felt
so,
chosen.
yes, you're so welcome.
Yes.
I was sitting here on my phone. I just picked up my phone, right?
Uh-huh.
And I went on Facebook, and because I have you as friends on Facebook,
Yes, ma'am.
and I was just going through my friends list and said, I wonder which of my friends, because I kept advertising on Facebook, what I'm doing, if you'd like to share your story, because your story can change your life. And no one reached out. And I said, I wonder who could I reach out to that would accept? Because I have reached out to various people in the past. And I said, let me reach out to Keaira. And you just popped up at that moment. And I said, oh,
Yes.
Keaira, let me reach out. And to be honest, I was like, I don't know if Keaira is going to answer. However, it was meant to be.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think
Thank
anything
you.
happened by chance, right? I would
Mm-hmm.
say it was destined, right? It was meant to be. The older folks would say it was orchestrated by God for it to happen.
And something I like to leave the people with is anybody who's going through something,
Yeah,
there's a song by Marvin Winans, I think his name is, and I was listening to it before I started talking to you this morning. It's called Who's Gonna Tell Them? Basically saying that everybody going through something in life, and no matter what you're going through, just remember
yeah.
that Jesus love you. And it's
It's
it's always a better way.
always better way. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And this has been a great conversation. Keaira, if you want to do it again, you just let me know.
Yes. Thank you.
And I'm glad you were able to share, and you're so welcome. Your story remind us that while pain may shape a chapter of our lives, it never has to write the ending.
Oh,
Thank you for trusting moving forward talk with your journey, and
yes.
for reminding others that healing, hope, and new beginning are very much possible.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm gonna gift you something, not today, but I want you to send me your
Yes,
address.
ma'am.
Keaira, I'm only 6 years older than you. I want you to,
That's all.
yes, ma'am. I want you to text me your address.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm publishing. I know that's manners, Keaira. I'm messing with you. That's
Yes.
manners and how we were raised.
Yes.
I'm publishing a second book
Mm-hmm.
titled When Pain Fails, the Soul Prevails. And I'm going to gift you with one. So send me your address.
Thank you.
Hopefully we are published Monday. We're supposed to publish a couple of weeks ago, but then I went through and found some formatting errors, and I'm like, I cannot publish it with this formatting error. So I corrected those, and it should be published Monday. So as soon as it's live, expect a
I'm ready.
copy. Yeah. And I hope it speaks to you. I hope something.
Your event spoke to me, and I'll never forget that. And I got to share that with my kids, and that
Yeah,
meant a lot to us too.
you're so welcome. Thank you
Yes.
so very much. I'm gonna stop recording.